Hello and welcome to Republican Roundtable. I'm your host, Jen Zielinski. With us tonight, we have David Clark, who is going to give us an update on ranked choice voting. David is a friend of the show, has been a previous guest, and we will link to that previous show for our viewers. Thank you for joining us again.
You bet. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for having me here. You know, just a couple months ago, we were here to talk about ranked choice voting, what it is. We did an in-depth look at it. And I do have an update to that issue. Since then, we have successfully completed the petition drive here in Bloomington to put that question back on the ballot.
So the ranked choice voting question will be on the ballot in November, or if somebody early votes, they will see that.
In Bloomington, that is correct.
Perfect.
That is correct.
And what's going to be the language of that question?
Well, it's essentially a yes or no answer. Essentially, it's a yes answer if you want to repeal ranked choice voting and go back to traditional voting with a primary. If you want to keep ranked choice voting, then you would vote no. So it's a referendum measure to repeal ranked choice voting, and that's what the signers of the petition wanted to be able to get on the ballot, and we were successful with that.
And we are looking to repeal it, correct?
That is correct. Back in 2020, right during the pandemic, the mayor and the city manager, just a few feet from us here in this building, stated that they would be doing no big issues during the pandemic. They would be taking on no controversial issues. They would just basically be lights on, keeping the lights on, and just keep business as usual. And they did everything but. They immediately launched into several very controversial things, including ranked choice voting. And so it passed by less than 1/5 of 1% over the margin in 2020. And ever since then, the community wants a second shot at that to make sure it's what people want or don't want. And so we did have a petition drive a couple years ago that didn't quite make it all the way to the ballot. This year we were successful, and it'll be on the ballot in November.
And who are you representing when it comes to this, just so we can give that background to our viewers?
Sure. About 3.5 years ago, I helped found a group called Residents for Better Bloomington. We're just a citizen watchdog group. We keep a really close eye on what's going on at City Hall, and it's led us to really realize that there are things and issues and ways of doing things that are not in the best interests of the residents. And so we started this watchdog group to initially just observe and see what was going on and go to the meetings, and that's what led us to take a deeper look into things like ranked choice voting. We're a nonprofit, nonpartisan group, and it's just made up of residents in Bloomington who want to make it a better place to live, work, and play.
So even though we're on a show, Republican Roundtable, you're not about the political side, which party you vote for. You're concerned about what voters maybe were pushed towards a couple years ago.
That's correct. In fact, at the legislature this year, there was a bill introduced to essentially allow municipalities statewide, city councils, to put in ranked choice voting without having putting it to a vote to their residents. There was a bill to actually allow cities just to, with the stroke of the pen, let ranked choice voting be the law of the land in that city. And it actually failed because 3 DFL legislators refused to sign that and to get on board. So it's not a left versus right issue. It's really it's an election integrity issue. It's something that people are really concerned about because it tends to leave people confused about the way that they're voting, and it tends to drive down the confidence in the election system, which is the last thing that we need in this day and age.
And it sounds like there was a push for it statewide voting would be ranked choice voting, and that also failed, I believe?
Yes, it has. And so it's not something that, and again, these are DFL legislators that, are the ones that did not get on board with this. So it's not a left versus right issue. Our group is nonpartisan. It's a non-political group, and we take on issues like ranked choice voting and other issues in the city that a lot of people can get on board with.
And that sounds like even just getting the referendum itself on the ballot, it sounds like this is what the people want. This is what they are pushing for. This was their choice to begin with.
Yeah, and so the city of Bloomington, like all cities, have really specific rules about what what's required to get a ballot
Okay.
measure on the ballot.
Okay.
Right? And so in this case, we had to get 5% of the last general election.
Oh,
So
okay.
5% of that number, which was roughly, 43,000 people that voted in the last general election, 2022. So that meant that this year we had to get 2,109 signatures minimum.
Okay.
And we exceeded that by 20%.
That's
so these
amazing.
are verified signatures that were all gone through by the city clerk. Everything was checked against the voter rolls to make sure these were registered voters in Bloomington that signed the petition. And the city clerk accepted it and issued certificates of sufficiency, is what they're called. And everything was verified, and it went through the city council, and they set the wording, and that's how it got on the ballot eventually. But it all started with people getting together, people mobilizing, getting passionate about an issue. We estimate it took over 2,500 hours of volunteer time to do this. I mean, it's an exhausting effort to go out and get, doesn't sound like much, but 2,500 signatures is a lot.
It
And,
sounds hard.
So we got roughly 2,800 signatures.
Okay.
A few got thrown out because they weren't registered here, or they were from somewhere else, or they couldn't be verified. But we ended up with around 2,500 plus signatures, and we needed that 2,109. That was the minimum threshold based upon the rules in Bloomington.
I was going to say a little bit of a civics lesson if anybody further wants to do this. And this is for anyone who lives in Bloomington regardless of legislative district, correct?
That is correct. So,
Okay.
so Bloomington is made up of 4 districts. It's split down the middle with, with Penn Avenue. On the west side is Senate District 50B. On the east side is 51B.
Yep.
But anybody in the city limits of Bloomington
Yep.
who's a registered voter here can vote on this ballot measure this fall. And again,
Perfect.
if you vote yes, it means you want to get rid of ranked choice voting
Okay.
and go back to a primary system.
Okay.
If you vote no, it's because you like ranked choice voting and you want to keep it the way it is.
Okay.
Which is fine, and,
Yep.
and we're all for people voting their conscience. What we want to do is to give people another opportunity to vote on it, because the margin of victory was so slim when it passed in 2020, less than 1/5 of 1% margin. We figured let's take another look at this just to make sure this is what the people of Bloomington really want, or if they want to get rid of it and go back to the primary.
Yes. We have like a minute or two left. David, how can anyone get a hold of you, viewers get a hold of you, or learn more?
Well, our website is RFABB, RFABB, Residents for a Better Bloomington, MN, so rfabbmn.org.
Okay.
And you can go on there, you can click on elections, the elections tab, and you can see probably more information than you ever want to know. There's video there about the counting of the ballots, just how ranked choice voting works. I won't get into that in this video because we're out of time.
Yep.
But the previous video that you're going to link to has all the information that people would want to know.
All that information.
And again, this petition wasn't to petition the city
Yep.
to strike it from city law. It was simply to put it back on the ballot and let the people vote, which is what we were able to do.
With that education. One weird last question. Is it going to be on the front of the ballot, or do the voters have to flip towards the back of the ballot?
You know what? I don't know. I would imagine that it's probably on the back of the ballot.
Okay.
But it just all depends on the real estate that's available.
Absolutely. So just a reminder to flip to that back and make sure
Yep.
you cover all elections.
If you like ranked choice voting, vote no. If you want to get rid of it, vote yes. Yes to repeal.
Perfect. David, thank you for being on our show again.
Thank you so much.
Always
Appreciate it. Thank you,
pleasure,
Jen.
yeah. Thank you for joining us on Republican Roundtable. Remember, it's time to get out to register to vote if you have not registered yet. And also, early voting does start in September. So by the time you're watching this, it might be time for you to vote. Thank you for joining us.